Tour of Britain gets underway.
Stellar performance here then by Bradley Wiggins. Simon Yates coming up to the line. What a ride!
Oh! What a tight finish that was.
Hello, we're in Cheltenham today for the finish of Stage 7 of the OVO Energy Tour of Britain, the penultimate stage and the hilliest one of this year's race as well. Coming up, highlights of the canter across the Cotswolds today. But first, let's remind ourselves of yesterday's sprint at the Suffolk seaside.
With Lars Boom in the lead on GC, the thinking was that the other World Tour contenders would have to do something on Stage 6 as they left Newmarket. But when the flag dropped, the peloton seemed quite relaxed about letting the break go. 4 Brits, 2 Kiwis and an Italian got away. Bike Channel Canyon's Harry Tanfield, again a glutton for punishment in animating the race, while fellow Brit James Shaw from Lotto Soudal was the only World Tour rider amongst them. Further back, a crash led to Matt Holmes of Madison Genesis abandoning the race. Orlando Garibay of Silence also quit, as did Great Britain's under-23 champion Chris Lawless. The break fought for points in the Iceberg Sprints competition and the solitary Skoda climb, but it made no difference. Graham Briggs and Jacob Scott wear their respective jerseys for another day. Eventually, Tanfield's efforts caught up with him, and Shaw showed his world class by fighting to the death to keep the break alive. Once he was inside, Alex Dowsett launched a powerful attack, but it soon proved fruitless as well. The bunch was bearing down on Aldborough for a sprint to the line.
Caleb Ewan on the front, Fernando Gaviria on the wheel. Look at the speed now of Caleb Ewan. Is he going to take his 3rd stage victory of the OVO Energy Tour of Britain? Yes, he is! So confirmation of Caleb Ewan's win into Aldborough, ahead of Fernando Gaviria and Dylan Groenewegen, with another good result for JLT Condor's Brenton Jones in 6th. No change in the general classification after the bunch sprint, with it all still to play for over the next 2 stages.
Janto with me here once more in Cheltenham. Tango to my cash, if you will. Although the moneymaker yesterday, Janto, into Aldborough was Caleb Ewan, his 3rd sprint victory at this year's race.
Absolutely on form, in position, and capitalised on a mistake in the lead out and took away the victory.
Such an amazing sprinting style as well. Someone else who is still doing well, Lars Boom at the top of the tree on GC, very much unchallenged yesterday.
Yeah, relatively little to do for the team to close that gap down, and then the sprinters teams took over in the finale. But ultimately, you know, wasn't a challenge, and we'll hope to see something maybe a bit better today.
Definitely will. All to do for the World Tour teams, with only 2 more stages remaining on this year's race. Rob Hales has been catching up with some of the main players in Hemel Hempstead.
It'll be a hard-fought breakaway this morning, and then maybe, if the right guys are in, I think Lotto Jumbo might be happy for it to stay away, so all the bonuses get soaked up, but we'll have to see what happens on the road.
We're going to concentrate on the sprints jersey, in fairness. If he concentrates on that, the King of the Mountains jersey could come with it at the same time, so we're just focusing on the one. We don't want to be greedy.
We expect that Kwiatkowski attack the last climb with 6 kilometers to go. We're going to go full speed ahead. I hope Gilbert can follow him, and then we'll see about Lars Boom, what he's going to do. Or we're just going for a stage win and forget about the GC.
We will see what the situation will be of the race. I don't think that we can make still anything in the GC, so we will try to aim for stage win.
It's a tough day, and it's really in the last 50 kilometers where it starts, and I think the wind is headwind, so it's probably a good race to watch, and it's definitely going to be a tough one to race.
Pretty comfortable in these deck chairs, to be honest. And you know what, Janto, far too comfortable as well for Lotto NL Jumbo and Lars Boom in the OVO Energy leaders jersey. Can we hope that the other World Tour riders are going to inflict a bit of pain today?
The conditions, I think, set it up nicely. I think the parkour is a little bit more lumpy than other days, so I would hope to see, and I think everyone would hope to see, a bit of anticipation around who's going to try and make the break and some excitement to get in the move.
Well, look, with the clock ticking and only 2 stages remaining going into Cardiff, surely Sky's Owain Doull and Geraint Thomas, the local lads, are going to want to do something.
I think yes, and I also think maybe some of the other riders who haven't got anything out of this race so far. There is still a very talented field who have not had a stage victory or worn any jerseys, and everybody's got to be motivated to come away with something from this race.
Vasil Kirienka also up there for Sky. Stefan Kung as well, looking very ominous. A very strong rider indeed. Let's have a closer look now at today's course.
Hemel Hempstead sees the start of the penultimate stage in this year's OVO Energy Tour of Britain. Passing through 4 counties, there are 3 Iceberg Sprints classifications and 3 Skoda King of the Mountains competitions. The first climb is at Brill Hill in Buckinghamshire, followed by 2 sprints and a Cat 3 ascent in Gloucestershire, Broughton on the Water, Morton in Marsh and Broughton on the Hill. The final dash in Winchcombe is immediately followed by the climb up Cleve Hill before the stage drops into the finish in Cheltenham. Hemel Hempstead was developed after World War II as a new town, but the original settlement dates all the way back to the 8th century and is mentioned in the Domesday Book. The town was granted its charter by King Henry VIII back in 1539. Also known as Cheltenham Spa, this Regency town sits on the edge of the area of outstanding natural beauty that is the Cotswolds. Historic buildings and sites include the Boer War Memorial, the Promenade, and Cheltenham was also the birthplace of composer Gustav Holst.
At the end of each stage of this year's race, there's a virtual hill climb to try, courtesy of sponsored OVO Energy. You can race Dean Downing at Brill Hill, which is in today's stage, and you can race each other. So we're going to have a go at this, Janto?
Yeah.
Get your VR headset on. Come on, let's do this. Count us down, please.
3, 2, 1. Give it some. All you got. Go on.
Pop a bit out.
You're definitely winning, Janto. I think you're struggling there, you mate.
Good effort, Janto. Good effort. I think Janto won. Let's get to the real racing now. Our commentary team of Brian Smith and Marty McDonald. Carry on.
Thanks, Matt. Time for the rollout here on stage 7 of the 2017 OVO Energy Tour of Britain. 185.1 kilometres today here in Hemel Hempstead. The sun is shining. We're heading to Cheltenham. 8 stages in total. This is the penultimate one. 1,313 kilometres the riders will have ridden when we hit the finish in Cardiff tomorrow. This is the neutralised start. So the rollout is about 10 kilometres in length this morning. And Hemel Hempstead hosted a stage finish in 2014, which was won by Matthias Brandley when Alex Dowsett took the race lead from a breakaway. The sun is shining, Brian, but very much the calm before the storm we expect today.
Yeah, very much so. A lot of teams talking up this stage with the climbs coming towards the end. A lot's expected. This is probably the big chance that they've been looking for. A lot of time trial specialists packing into the top 10, and they really have to try and do something if they want to try and win this race.
The riders all lined out behind the race director's car. And you hear the riders here, the horn of the car just beeping the riders.
The race director is now gone inside the car. He can't hear the race radio from that from outside the car, so he's gone inside the car. He's holding the flag up, and they're just making sure that everybody is complete in the peloton.
And we are off and racing, and Paolo Simeon is the first rider to attack. For Bardiani CSF, Sylvain Dillier straight on him, as is Rob Power from Orica Scots. Karol Domagowski from One Pro Cycling very much to the front. What's your expectation today, Brian? We want a big day for the general classification going into today.
Well, it's purely down to the riders. Have they got the legs? Do they want to do it? Are they going to be able to do it against a very strong Lotto NL Jumbo team? Unfortunately for the whole race today, they're going into predominantly headwind, so they're going to need some numbers The break will have to be 7 or 8 riders that we've seen in stages before, but it's going to be a really interesting stage. We've seen already that Philip Gilbert trying to get in the move. I know that Graham Briggs will definitely want to get in the move, same with Jacob Scott, but like many other days, I think a lot of the players, a lot of the strong riders will be looking at this one with intent.
So lots of attacking, this flurry of attacks that we get at the beginning of the stage. It's always interesting to be able to bring you the way that the race sets up. Very active at the start of stage 7 here on the OVO Energy Tour of Britain. We're going to take a short break. Don't go away.
Welcome back. As we expected, it was fast and frenetic from kilometre zero, with all the big teams attacking Lotto NL Jumbo. First, it was Team Sky in the form of Michal Kwiatkowski, then Alex Dowsett, then Dylan van Baarle, a former winner of this race. And at one point, the green jersey himself was seen at the front trying to control things. Finally, Dexter Gardias of Bike Channel Canyon was allowed to break off the front, and he was joined by Robert Power of Orica Scott and Steele von Hoff from One Pro Cycling. As we rejoin the action, the 3 have become 6, with Jacob Scott in particular from Ampos Chain Reaction looking for more King of the Mountains points, as is Lucas Ausian of CCC Sprandi Polkowice, and JLT Condor's Russ Downing is there too, to mark both men for his teammate Graham Briggs.
Steele von Hoff on the front, swings off. Rob Power takes over. Watch the 2 riders, second and the back rider there. They're the ones that are up there in this classification. Scott on the wheel of Russell Downing. Downing as well. He's got his teammate in second place in the King of the Mountains, Graham Briggs. He's 25 points. So as well, Downing can try and keep that fairly tight by trying to take some points at the top. Brill Hill, I'm told we've got some good crowds ahead of us on this one. We're going to want to try and leave this one maybe a little bit late here. Downing out of the saddle, Scott in the wheel. They'll just look for the summit. As soon as they see the flag, then they will open up for the sprint for the top. Rob Power is there. Jacob Scott now moves up on the right, Ausian up the left. So the first and third place riders in this one battling it out for the top of Brill Hill. Ausian, here comes Scott alongside him, and Jacob Scott makes light work of Brill Hill, and that's a good sign of things to come. Scott is going to take maximum points over the top of the climb. And Russ Downing and Rob Power cross the line next. But a good move there by Jacob Scott from Ampos. Look at the crowds at the top. That's great to see. Confirmation of Brill Hill, the Category 3 climb. Jacob Scott takes it from Lucas Ausian. Russ Downing in third. Rob Power sweeps up that 1 point after setting a lot of the pace on the climb.
Ausian went on the left-hand side, Scott went on the right-hand side, and he was equal to it. He was just eyeing up the line at the top and just went by on the left-hand side. And as soon as that happened, Ausian, I think, was giving up by now. He knew that Scott was a better finisher. Sits down, and Jacob Scott just taking no chances whatsoever. Straight over the top, maximum points, 4 points in the bag. 3 for Ausian. Russ Downing just crosses the line in third place with Robert Power in fourth.
It's an attack by Tiago Machado of Katusha Alpecin, the man from Portugal. Sits just over the minute mark down on the general classification, minute and 20 seconds down on the general classification. At the moment, no one's gone with him. And gap 3:08, that's a big gap to try and cross on your own here, isn't it?
Yes, it is. He's got 26 seconds, and obviously Primus Roglic and Heath van Hoek just looked at him as he went. But you know, this is just not just an opportunist move. This is a planned move. We were thinking that come the first iceberg sprint of the day, it would spring into action. But already Katusha thinking they've got many riders that are a wee bit off in the general classification, but they've got many riders that are very close.
down to Niels Pollitt at 53 seconds, and Tony Martin sitting at 14 seconds. Maybe not the best climber, definitely a strong rider, and I think by playing their cards now, putting a bit more pressure on Lotto NL Jumbo to make it a hard final, I think Tony Martin might be looking at trying to do something later on. He knows that other riders will want to attack in the final climb, so maybe Tony Martin is wanting to do something sooner rather than later. And certainly the race has become a little bit more interesting now.
There's a close-up there of Jacob Scott. Again, another one of the outstanding riders of this year's race, leading that Skoda King of the Mountains competition. And, you can see his instructions on his handlebars there. There's a beautiful shot here of Blenheim Palace. Drew Bolton on the water. There's the line ahead of them. It looks like a breakaway group. Russell Downing of JLT Condor now sprints through to the front just to defend this one for his teammate Graham Briggs. Downing takes that ahead of Alcyon and Steele von Hoff. So we've seen a lot of battles throughout this year's race. We're on stage 7, and sometimes this is a little bit more that we see the breakaway. They want to keep that fluidity of movement. They don't want to lose a few seconds just sprinting it out.
Yeah, it does look as if with the fact that Steele van Hoff never sprinted for that, because if he'd have taken all 3 of the sprints on today's stage, then he would have been in striking distance of Graham Briggs and maybe that competition. But it does look as if they left it late, rushed down and just made sure that he took the maximum points, looking after the jersey of Graham Briggs. And these 6 riders don't want to waste time and waste energy because they do stand a chance at the moment. It's 3:17. Okay, Machado is still in between, holding an advantage of about 30 odd, almost 40 seconds. But it's an interesting one. You don't often see this, the counter-attack going with just one rider. I think the attack was trying to entice others, and nothing else has happened. But when you're committed to this, you have to keep on going. And I think Machado just trying to get to the this next climb. And if he can get some of his teammates, likes of Tony Martin, on the counter-attack, then at least they've got a good rider, a good strong rider in front.
Starting to get active now on the front of the race.
Just follow the camera now. Just follow the camera now. We've got 4 riders on there, 5 riders in fact on their counter-attack. So it has inspired something. Ryan Mullen there, Sylvain Dillier is there. Looks like Mikhail Kwiatkowski, Niels Pollitt, and Alex Dowsett.
Wow, great chasing group. This is what we wanted to see. Thiago Machado going clear for Katusha Alpecin. His teammate is in here. Up to the front, Russ Downing of JLT Condor now out of the saddle as he starts to go clear to try and take maximum points in the Iceberg Sprints competition. So he took the first one, and he's going to cross the line here. So Russ Downing crosses the line and takes maximum points.
So everything going according to plan so far in the King of the Mountains and the sprint competitions, but it was all about to happen in the race for the lead. 5 men attacked from the peloton, including Michal Kwiatkowski and Alex Dowsett. This forced Lotto NL Jumbo to use up their men in pursuit. Jacob Scott took the points on top of Bolton on the hill, whilst behind Dowsett was dropped and Machado was caught. Lotto NL Jumbo managed to bring it all back together, only to see Tony Martin, of all people, go on the attack. As we go to the break, you can see the green jersey throw away his gilet. Lars Bohm knows things are hotting up, so don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to stage 7 of the OVO Energy Tour of Britain. 185.1 kilometres a day from Hemel Hempstead, finishing at Cheltenham. 25 kilometres to go in towards the finish. Tony Martin, the German rider, 32 years old, the 4 times world time trial champion, is really on the offensive here in the OVO Energy Tour of Britain. Great team riding today by Katusha Alpecin. They just took the playbook, ripped it up, threw it out the window, and they've now given way to Tony Martin at the head of the race, doing what he does best. He's on his own, time trialling his way in towards a finish in Cheltenham. Great move by Tony Martin. You see hands in the centre of the bars, just keeping that time trial rhythm.
We've got a chasing group, and the chasing group does have the OVO Energy race leader in this, Lars Bohm, but he's isolated. He's got no teammates round about him. A couple of three, in fact, Quick Step Floors riders. Bosenhagen is also in this group, so an interesting situation now, as I think it's Cannondale now pushing hard in the front of the chase group.
Lars Bohm is very isolated, and it is just a battle of counter-attacks. He'll be screaming into his radio for anyone in this group to come and help him.
Yeah, exactly, and Mark Cavendish moving up, so Mark Cavendish getting stronger as this race goes on, so he's coming up towards the front. Theo Gegenhardt is the rider on the front of this main group. It's still swelling in numbers, but you know, the race is fully on now. As we expected, what the other teams wanted to do with that attack of Kwiato, Mullen, Dillier, Hollenstein, Machado, Dowsett, all going on the attack a little bit earlier, was to keep the pressure on Lotto NL Jumbo, and they have managed to do this, but it's this man here, the world time trial champion. It's pretty much doing his own time trial today, and going to be very difficult to hold off this peloton, but he's having a good go at it.
The final iceberg sprint of the day here on the penultimate day of the OVO Energy Tour of Britain is just ahead of us. Our race leader, Tony Martin of Katusha Alpecin, the world time trial champion, is making Team Sky work hard to try and pull him back. Lars Bohm in the green jersey as the leader of the OVO Energy Tour of Britain. His team have been on the front for most of the day today. A tough day in terms of the route and the weather here at the stage from Hemel Hempstead to Cheltenham. It's Theo Gegenhardt on the front here for Team Sky. Elia Viviani alongside him. And from the head-on shot here, Tony Martin still arms on the top of the bars, just leaning on them, trying to get towards this final sprint of the day in Winchcombe, which comes with 12.4 to go.
You can just see the peloton just behind Tony Martin. It's coming down now, 9 seconds, 10 seconds, just hovering there. In about 3 kilometres time, they'll start heading into the final sprint of the day. 3, 2 and 1 seconds on offer, 10, 6 and 4 on the finish. So this bonus sprint coming up is going to come into play for the GC contenders.
Elia Viviani, we see his teammates on the front doing this job for him, trying to bring him into the finish. Now it's up to the Olympic Omnium champion on the track from Rio last year to do the work for his teammates as they try to line up a general classification victory in this one. We see Viviani do this on the track. Now he's doing it on the road. 1 kilometre to go in towards the iceberg sprint, and it's up to the Italian now to try and pull back Tony Martin. Because 3 bonus seconds for the German. He went in 14 seconds down. That would leapfrog him over Jos van Emden of Lotto Jumbo, but he's got his work cut out here. Viviani doing an incredible job to pull back Tony Martin.
You just see it setting up there, Sylvain Dillier on the right-hand side. But Team Sky having a look at these bonus seconds. Edvard Bosenhagen is there, but you can just see being pushed out of it, the green jersey, as Bosenhagen moves up to second position behind Vasil Kirienka.
Kirienka on the front. Bosenhagen looks like Stefan Kung there. Here comes Mikhail Kwiatkowski. Kwiatkowski could want these bonus seconds as well, lining up through the corners. They'll want to see that line ahead of them. Bosenhagen, the danger man. Everyone's talking about 19 seconds down in the general classification. Is this Dion Smith that's going up? But here goes Lars Bohm. Your green jersey now moves up. Lars Bohm looking to try and get a clear run to this sprint. Bosenhagen is there, and Bohm just bosses his way in front of Bosenhagen to try and get a good position for this sprint. Out of the corner, Stefan Kung on the front, and it looks like Mark McNally right behind him for Wanty Group Gobert, the man that's in second in the iceberg sprints classification. Mark McNally looking to try and take the lead in this jersey competition. For the rest of the riders, though, it's all about the all-important bonus seconds that are on the line.
Yeah, Stefan Kung at the front in the red, Mark McNally in the blue, and just behind you see the green jersey. Edvard Bosenhagen is looking out for the sprint point. Everybody anticipating it's going to be around the next corner, and it's still got a few hundred metres to go.
You see Philippe Gilbert now moves up on the left. Stefan Kung now from BMC on the front for the
moving
sprint.
up on the right-hand side.
Here comes Graham Briggs in that red jersey. Lars Bohm in the green jersey. It looks like Kung from Bohm and McNally. We'll look for confirmation of that one.
Yeah, that was a close one, and in the end it did look as if Stefan Kung got that one. Mark McNally could have got second place there, and Bohm taking that 1 second bonus. It's all in the throw. We'll wait for confirmation on it as Philippe Gilbert pushes on.
Philippe Gilbert has a look back over his shoulder. Lars Bohm is really having to work hard here to defend this one. Laurence de Plus now through to the front for Quick Step Floors. Bosenhagen latches straight onto the wheel of the Quick Step Floor rider. For them, it's all about the stage of victory today. Gorka Itzagire of Movistar just takes a big look back over the shoulder. Looks like we're going to have a fairly brutal run in towards a finish here. Attack after attack as the move now goes in. CCC, the riders in orange now trying to go clear. Let's have a look at the sprint.
Yes,
Graham Briggs
Stephen Kung takes it from the front. Mark McNally trying to hang on to second place. Graham Briggs coming up very late in the end, but Lars Bohm, does he get round McNally? Difficult one as they both throw the bike in the end. We'll have to wait for the judges' decision on that, but that's a good 2 points for McNally there.
Gilbert has a look back over the shoulder. That attack by Tony Martin pulled back under the pressure of Teo Gegenhardt and Elia Viviani, but now Mikhail Kwiatkowski moves back up towards the front. We have Cleve Hill to come on this route today, 3.4 kilometres in length, average gradient of 4%, and the climb starts fairly quickly out of Winchcombe here, and it's Andrea Pasqualon that moves up here into second wheel.
Yeah, Kwiatkowski going right from the bottom. They want to try and split this up right from the bottom of the climb. Philippe Gilbert is sitting in third place, the race leader. A little bit of a grimace there. Edvard Bosenhagen, Stefan Kung, Gaviria right up there towards the front.
Kwiatkowski has a look back over the shoulder. You can see the grimaces on the face of the riders in this group. Kwiatkowski has looked great throughout the stage today, and he really had a few riders hurting at the head of this one. Stefan Kung very much to the front. There's Dylan van Baarle in the green of Cannondale Drapac. Scott Thwaites is still there. Geraint Thomas for Team Sky. Michael Hepburn moves up on the right of your picture as more Cannondale Drapac jerseys move up towards the front. This is still all to play for here as we head towards the final 10 kilometres and we get some attacks, and it's Hugh Carthy again, a man we saw go early on in the day for Cannondale Drapac, and straight on at him Jonathan Castroviejo.
Yeah, just behind you've got Domagowski, Mieskits. So 4 riders now: McCarthy, Castroviejo, Domagowski and Mieskits.
Vasil Kirienka pedals across the gap, that familiar style of the man from Belarus. Starting to get a few splits at the front of the race. Pete Williams is there as Johnny McAvoy looks like he's going to try a bit of an attack here as Pete Williams of One Pro Cycling moves up towards the front. It's James Oram, my apology, that's now up towards the front for One Pro Cycling. Johnny McAvoy right behind him for Madison Genesis. Niels Pollitt of Katusha Alpecin just trying to get into the group here at the front of the race. McAvoy has a look back over his shoulder. Now a good group of 3 riders trying to clip off the front.
They're just waiting for confirmation in that final sprint there, Marty. And if McNally took that second place there, he'll go into the lead in that Iceberg Sprints competition. If he takes the third place, he'll be equal in points with Graham Briggs. So everything to play for in that competition.
10 kilometres to go now of the stage. Niels Pollitt out of the saddle for Katusha Alpecin, the German rider. Grits his teeth with him, Johnny McAvoy and James Oram as this good group. 2 British teams represented at the front of the race as we head towards the finish in Cheltenham. We're waiting for those big attacks as well to come out of the group. Kirienka swings off the front here for Team Sky. And James Shaw is up towards the front as well for Lotto Soudal.
Just see Geraint Thomas on the right-hand side moving up.
And just moving up there as well, Alessandro Tonelli of Bardiani CSF. And a lot of attacks going in here, a lot of chat going on at the front. James Shaw in that red number. Now James Shaw makes his move for Lotto Soudal. He went on the attack yesterday. He said the finish came 3 kilometres too late for him yesterday, but perhaps the legs that he had yesterday. He said he had great legs yesterday, did Short, and McAvoy straight on him for Madison Genesis.
Yeah, that's a good effort again. 2 days in a row from James Shaw. You can also see Dylan Van Baar in the green right up there towards the front, but the green jersey of the race leader Lars Boom is up for anything at the moment.
He is indeed. Lars Bohm just defending everything that these riders throw at him in this race. Kwiatkowski now lines up for an attack. Kwiatkowski switches across to the right-hand side of the road. Lars Bohm very attentive, straight on him, as is Laurence de Plus. And quite interesting, you can see here Fernando Gaviria right behind the rider from Movistar, Gorka Zagira. Gaviria doing a great ride.
Yeah, Gorka Zagira goes on the right-hand side. Lars Bohm just going with Kwiatkowski there. Laurence de Plus goes Dylan Van Baal. So it's all action. Now we see Edvard Boasson-Hagen, and for the first time I'm starting to see a little bit of a weakness in Lars Bohm.
How many attacks can he field in this one? Edvald Boasson-Hagen now goes. Boasson-Hagen has latched onto the back of the group. Gorka Zagira here on Cleve Hill, and the Spanish rider, you can see, just opening a gap. 8.9 to go. We're getting towards the summit of the Skoda King of the Mountains point, and he crests the summit. So it's Zagira that takes it on Cleve Hill ahead of De Plus.
I think Sky have missed out in this one. They haven't got anybody in this chase, and I don't think Lars Boom could do anything about it. These teammates have done a tremendous amount of work today already, so this is a big danger now for both Team Sky and Lars Boom, the race leader.
Edvald Boasson-Hagen perfectly timed to get into this move. Dylan Van Baal is also in there in the green for Cannondale Drapac. Edvald Boasson-Hagen, can he potentially take a hat-trick of victories in
crash
this race?
From the Dylan Van Baal, the Cannondale rider, which only leaves 3 riders in front.
So it's Zagira, Boasson-Hagen and Dion Smith, the 3 riders at the front of the race now.
Yeah, Dylan Van Baal just crashed in that corner. He just braked a little bit too hard, and unfortunately for Dylan Van Baal from Cannondale, he crashed in that quite a sharp right-hander. You just see him coming into the picture now, just slides the back wheel out, crashes, and obviously Laurence de Plus comes down as well. Laurence de Plus nowhere to go, so he just locked up that back wheel, Dylan Van Baal, going into that corner. He's up, so hopefully he's up. We'll see when he's up and riding. So back to the head of the race. It's Zagira, Boasson-Hagen and Smith. Dimension Data, Wanty Group, Gobert and Movistar at the front. Coming through to the front now. This is a good group. It's Zagira, gives Boasson-Hagen a nod. He can't come through. It's BMC. It looks like the black and red jerseys on the front. These are your leaders. Edvald Boasson-Hagen of Dimension Data, Gorka Zagira of Team Movistar, and Dion Smith from Wanty Group Gobert. 5 kilometres to go. Our trio of leaders, can they hang on to the finish here in Cheltenham today? What a great stage we've had. This looked everything about the general classification today, and it has played out perfectly. And you see Lars Bohm waving riders through to the front, and it's the Dimension Data team that are just looking at him as we get a counter from BMC. Yeah, panic from Lars Bohm there. He's only got 1 rider behind him. Just to tidy up the housekeeping on the last sprints. The last sprint was taken by Stefan Kung. He was 4th in the general classification and takes a 3-second bonus. But more importantly, Mark McNally takes 2nd and takes the leadership in that competition. So Mark McNally of Wanty Group Gobert will take the Iceberg Sprints jersey into tomorrow's stage, and Lars Bohm takes another 2nd bonus. So he's now 20 seconds in front of the danger man here, Edvard Boasson-Hagen. Edvald Boasson-Hagen 2nd in line here. This group looking good. 4 kilometres to go in towards Cheltenham. The man that's looking to try and set up that hat-trick of victories here, Edvald Boasson-Hagen, arguably the fastest rider in the sprint out of this group. Dion Smith's got a good finish on him. Will they try and make Boasson-Hagen do the lion's share of the work to try and weaken him slightly on the run-in? But it's the Spanish rider here from Team Movistar, Gorka Zagira,
looking good off the front for Movistar.
Well, Ezegiri started at 56 seconds off the overall, so he would be moving up in the overall, and obviously Dion Smith thinking of a potential stage win. So all three are very committed to this. 3.5 kilometres to go. They have a very slender advantage, but is it going to be enough? 10, 6 and 4, so all of them will gain bonuses. A little bit of bunching up in the peloton as they look to try and bring these three riders back.
Luke Durbridge through to the front with Michael Hepburn on the wheel. Tony Martin and Niels Pollitt in the red there for Katusha Alpecin. Here come CCC Sprandi, Polkovice, Wanty Group Gobert want to try and get themselves up towards the front here. You see JLT Condors, Ian Bibby just moving up on the right of your pictures. Good to see him still in there, as is Ali Slater. So this run in here, Fernando Gaviria is also still in here. So some of our sprinters still well in this group here, Brian, for the finish.
Yeah, very much so. And Katusha now riding, and I think Boasson has to think about this, because he can put all the energy into this this three-man group with 3 kilometres to go, but he's going to be out of it when the bonus seconds come, if they do bring him back. So he has to try and kind of push on a little bit now.
7 stage victories he's had in his career in the Tour of Britain. Can he take another one? Here comes Tiago Machado through towards the front. Lars Bohm attentive, and for Lars Bohm, he's having to do a lot of the work now in the back end of the stage. His teammates pretty spent after the chase and work that they've done throughout today. Hayes van Hoek, Primoz Roglic, Victor Kampenaerts and Joost van Emden have done a sterling job to try and keep Lars Bohm in contention, but a lot of the back end of this stage today is being left up to the OVO Energy green jersey wearer Lars Bohm and his real danger man Edvald Boasson Hagen going into today's stage. 19 seconds down on the general classification, as Brian said. Lars Bohm extending his lead with that 1 second on the final iceberg sprint of the day. Dion Smith of Wanty Group Gobert went into today's stage at 1 minute and 34 seconds down on the general classification. So good group at the front, but it's Katusha Alpecin and Tony Martin that are trying to bring this one down for the finish. So we'll have a look around here and see if Alexander Kristoff is here, and he is there. There's the Wiggle Points jersey, and there is Caleb Ewan as well. So Caleb Ewan of Orica Scott has got himself over these climbs, as has Fernando Gaviria. A lot of it was pointing to the general classification. A lot of our sprinters, though, managing to get themselves over these Cotswolds climbs today on the run in towards Cheltenham. Can it be a great day for the sprinters? Yet again, they're looking for the Flamme Rouge across the road. Our leading group hold 5 seconds, just 5 slender seconds on the run-in towards the line. For Boasson Hagen, he needs a gap, because he'll also get that 10 seconds on the line if he manages to get there. But Michael Hepburn puts the pressure on the front now for Orica Scott as they try to bring Caleb Ewan through to the front. 3 victories already in this race. Our breakaway is swept up. Great scenario here for Lars Bohm. Great work done by him today. Alexander Kristoff moves up on the wheel of his teammates. 1 kilometre to go, and it's Orica Scott that lead through here. Luke Kamies is in front of Caleb Ewan. This would be a great performance if he could take his 4th stage victory. Moving up on the left, One Pro Cycling move through. Lars Bohm, he's got 1 teammate left. Lars Bohm, he's got a good finish on him, Lars Bohm.
Yeah, this is coming up to the right-hander and then a sharp left-hander. Mies gets right at the front. This is a perfect scenario for Caleb Ewan. Then we turn left here, and it's pretty much straight all the way to the finish now. It rises up ever so slightly to the finishing line, and Ricchesi now coming through on the right-hand side with Gaviria on the wheel. So it looks as if we could have our first drag race between the likes of Gaviria and Caleb Ewan today.
Luke Mies gets on the front now. They go through 200 metres to go. Dylan Groenewegen is there as well. Groenewegen now makes his move for Lotto Jumbo. Groenewegen, Kristoff is there. Ewan trying to get there as well, but Dylan Groenewegen through to the front. But Caleb Ewan, a late challenge, the throw to the line. But Dylan Groenewegen punches the air with delight, as does Lars Bohm behind. The late challenge there by Caleb Ewan, the throw to the line, but Dylan Groenewegen, you saw him punch the air. He looks like he's celebrating the victory.
it's a perfect scenario as we come into the finish, and it's just coming up very quickly. It squeezes past on the right hand side. Groenewegen and Caleb Ewan had to react. You can just see Brenton Jones for JLT coming up to get a very good result in third place. Christoph was suffering all the way to the finish. He'll keep a hold of that wiggle points jersey, but a nice third place from JLT Condors Brenton Jones, but a strong performance. It just kind of kicks up now all the way to the finish at this point here. Groenewegen had it in the bag, but finishing very quickly was Caleb Ewan on the left hand side.
So what a sprint from Dylan Groenewegen for his Lotto NL Jumbo team, taking the win in Cheltenham from Caleb Ewan and JLT Condors Brenton Jones. The Dutch sprinter's podium may just have helped win the Tour for his teammate. Lars Bohm stays at the top of the general classification, with Stefan Kung moving up to second after collecting bonus time at the final sprint of the day. The Lotto NL Jumbo rider will be hoping this isn't the last time he pulls on the green OVO Energy jersey.
Before was already quite difficult because of all the headwind, and Gijs van Hoeken and Pimo Roglic did a great job by keeping the guys in at 4 minutes. So they did a great job, and then one of a sudden there was an attack of 4 or 5 guys with a lot of big names on small time differences. So we had to make the decision that we're gonna pull them back and start riding straight away. So Jos van Emden and Victor Campenaars, they start riding, and they went all out. So from that moment on, I was on my own, and so it was quite difficult on the last climb because we had Rossi was jumping, Gilbert was jumping, all the guys. But I always could stay in the wheel and keep up with them. So it was, in the end, was really good.
Alexander Kristoff stays in the Wiggle Points jersey, finishing 4th in the Cotswolds.
Yeah, I'm leading the point jersey, but yeah, I wish I had a victory. But yeah, today I think Dylan and Caleb was quite a lot in front of me, so they were faster at the end. And yeah, I think I had every chance to win today, but I was not fast enough, unfortunately. So I'm a bit disappointed that I could not win the sprint. But yeah, I'm up there every day. I'm consistent in top 5, so maybe I'm more lucky tomorrow. But yeah, today I had everything was open for me. So if I just had the legs, I would have made it. But yeah, Dylan and Caleb was quite much faster, and there was also one more guy in between.
Jacob Scott keeps the Skoda King of the Mountains jersey by taking maximum points on the first 2 climbs. Mark McNally takes over from Graham Briggs in the Iceberg Sprints classification thanks to the final sprint of Stage 7. Geraint Thomas stays as the Adnam's best-placed British rider.
Really pleased to say Dylan Groenewegen of Lotto NL Jumbo is with me now. Today's winner, well done to you, Dylan. How was it?
Thank you. Yeah, it was a hard stage, so with the rain, and yeah, we have also the general classification, so it was hard for the team and also hard for me, but yeah, we can survive it, and I can survive the last climb, so yeah, I can sprint and I win.
Some strong teams here at this year's race, but it looks like your team is easily the strongest. Strong in the time trial, top of the GC, and you won a stage as well, and your second Tour of Britain stage in 2 years.
Yeah, we have a very strong team, so yeah, we see it in the results in the time trial, and now also in the sprint. So yeah, I'm really happy with the result, and yeah, tomorrow is a new chance, and yeah, also we survived the general classification.
We were watching the run-in, Dylan, and I'm interested to know, how does it change when you're not running a lead-out, which you seem to be just doing your own thing today? How does that change when you have got obviously a long line of guys in front of you, or just running off other teams?
Yeah, of course, my lead-out is not here, so yeah, we have also a strong team for the time trial, and that's also for the World Championship. So yeah, I did it in the final, yeah, more alone, but yeah, I can yeah, did a freestyle sprint on the wheel of Caleb Ewan and on the wheel of Gaviria. So yeah, now I can free sprinting for the finish line, and yeah, I can hold it.
Dylan, stay there. One final stage ahead of you tomorrow. Let's have a quick look at it now.
The final stage of this year's OVO Energy Tour of Britain starts in Worcester, and the first climb of the day is at the top of British Cap with a drop down to a sprint at Ledbury. Just after the Welsh border is the Cap to Ascended Crossway. The sprint at Usk is followed by the final Skoda King of the Mountains climb of Belmont Hill. The stage then heads into the Welsh capital for the first time ever for 3 circuit laps and the final Iceberg sprint before the crowning of the champion by Cardiff Castle.
Dylan, one final push to keep Lars Bohm in the OVO Energy leaders jersey, but the last time you were on a stage at the Tour of Britain, it was in Wales. Have you got your eye on a win in the capital tomorrow?
I hope so. I try it, but yeah, also the general classification of Lars Bohm for the team is important. So yeah, first come that, and then yeah, the sprint. So I think it's a freestyle sprint for me, but yeah, I hope I can hold it, and also today.
Yeah, after today, I've no doubt you'll be up there in the reckoning. Dylan, many thanks indeed to you. Janto, thanks to you as well. That's it for now. Final stage of this year's OVO Energy Tour of Britain. Tomorrow it's going to be a corker for sure. Join us for live coverage in the morning on ITV4 and highlights once again in the evening. See you then. Bye-bye.